What do you say you all hop in with me and we take a little trip to the future, baby? Actually, we're going to take a trip today to a future that is not that far off. Okay. It is really exciting stuff. And this badass joining me today, she may be under the mystique and allure of this like alias avatar, but behind it, she is packing the heat, trust me, with some serious street cred in Web3, in tech, in crypto, in AI. Let me just count the ways, okay? We are joined today by Lady Trader Raw. When I say OG, I mean it, okay? This is no false advertising here. So, this woman, she is a Web3 development architect. These are just some of her claims to fame, okay? A key opinion leader. She's a content creator, a writer, an early crypto investor. She's an influencer, KOL manager, an advisor. She also is VP of Web3 of Angel AI, which we're going to talk about. She's an advisor over at Twin Protocol. She's a lead advisor of Ledger AI, and she is backed by Forbes Web3. So, without further ado, like I said, I did not come to play. Your brains, balls, and boobs are going to be blown by her today. And even though some of you may not be super techie, that's okay. This is all you're with this all day, every day, right? Your phones? Yeah, exactly. So this is going to be an integral part of your life sooner or later before you know it. So, Lady Trader Raw, from one Lady T to another, welcome to Talk to Me, Taylor. I'm so excited for this today.
Hey, thank you so much, Taylor, for having me up here today and for such an awesome introduction. Really excited to get this conversation going.
Woo woo!
Deemed the celebrity whisperer by Playboy.
This is the best interview of the day.
Thanks for having me.
You hit the nail on the head.
100%.
Period. Yeah.
Touchdown. You're cracking me up.
Wear them, baby.
This is good.
Taylor Ferber.
It is my pleasure. And you know what's funny is I have a little alias avatar of my own today, Lady T. Can I call you Lady T, by the way? I just kind of coined it when
Yes,
we met on Spaces, and I've
absolutely, you
and
can.
I've gone with it ever since. So I never wear a hat on my show. I always have my signature hairdo. And I thought, I was having a bad hair day. I have my canceled hat from when my show was Cancel Me Baby. I have controversial opinions. And I thought, maybe my digital twin, if something were to ever happen to me, my digital twin could live on and tell my story and tell the tale. So I thought it was like kind of on brand for our call today, our interview today. So first things first, talk to us a little bit about being backed by, the Web3 division of Forbes, which is huge. And like I said, even if tech itself may not be the sexiest thing on the face of it, but it is so integrated in our lives and is going to be even more so. Talk about something that you called way before it became mainstream in this space, like when you were totally ahead of its time and ahead of the curve.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it really, when it comes to tech, of course, my dad, he was a visionary. He was incredible. He was someone who was able to spot things super early. Like, he was somebody who told me buy Bitcoin when it first came out. And he said, you know what, just buy $1,000 worth of Bitcoin. Do not look at it for 10 to 15 years. Like just keep it. And I was like, no, I don't know. I don't think so. And so it just seemed like a Ponzi scheme to me at that point, right? And so I didn't look into it very much at all. And I basically just did not go for that advice. I wish I had, because I would be a multi-billionaire at this point. It would have
You're
been
taken
phenomenal.
out of here, Lady Trader.
But he was someone who was really able to spot a lot of things early, like cloud technology was another one. So he was really awesome with that. Nanotech, he was the first one, who was talking about it like super early in my family. And so I kind of had that, I inherited that from him. And so definitely AI was something, when it first came out, it was like, okay, this is very incredible tech, right? And then one thing that I would say that I was really able to spot super early on, that no one really was talking about it, it was Bitcoin historical data. Because when I did get into crypto initially, 2014 was actually a pretty bad year. for me, because that was I was the first time investor in Bitcoin. And this was way after, even actually a year after my dad had passed away. And so I got into crypto, and then, it didn't work out very well initially. And so I kind of started seeing these patterns that Bitcoin goes through these, 4-year cycle. It has, all of these things where it goes up and down, and I was able to spot those super early. So that was pretty awesome,
Okay.
to have that. But then AI, just going back to what I said, my dad, he was a visionary, right? And so and he had a lot of knowledge, and that knowledge was lost. When he passed away, it's just everything is gone. And so with AI twins now, you could actually retain that knowledge, right? Imagine if my dad had his AI twin, we would
Right.
be able to retain all of that knowledge, right? And so that's really something where when we look at the technology, you got to look at it from the perspective of, okay, how does this help me? How does it help my family? It's not just
Wow.
is it bringing a paycheck for you or anything else, but also like, what does it do for you in real life, right? Because that's what makes you passionate, and then that's what makes you successful when you are working in a field that you're passionate about. So yeah, that's just a little bit of what I wanted to add.
And we are going to keep it, like I said, we're going to keep it today, sort of mainstream, big picture, cultural. But think about it. We just had last year, I was there, you know, soon to be again President Trump speaking at the Bitcoin conference, first president to ever do it. And back when your dad would say, invest in it, and you're like, no way, that's crazy. It's a Ponzi scheme. What? And to look at now, right? Like if you could go back and tell yourself like how mainstream it would be that the most powerful man in the world right now and the president would be, talking about, a reserve would be at the Bitcoin conference, you would be like, wow, not sure that I saw that coming.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's just incredible. And I think that's what happens too a lot of times, when you are challenged by something new, a lot of people just dismiss it, right? Oh, this
Yeah,
is
of
not something I'm
course.
interested in until it becomes the big thing. And so that's something that we all need to learn. And this is what happened, like even
Exactly.
during COVID time, if you remember, a lot of companies were opposed to cloud at that point, cloud technology. And then COVID-19 hit and everybody's working from home and they actually had to go to cloud, right? So technology is moving very fast, and it's really, we have to
Yes,
move fast with it.
exactly. And when I think about all of this, AI, crypto, I always bring it back to the thought of how many years ago of sending what would now be an email. Forget about text, social media, WhatsApp, all these things, X, sending a digital letter or email to someone across the world. People who weren't visionaries or forward thinking thought that was nuts. Now it's all day, every day. Right. So
Mhm.
that's why I am, while I'm not a techie myself, why I'm really passionate about, I mean, it's so integrated in our lives and really being on the forefront of it and the early wave of it. Talk to us about like I said, the Forbes Web3 before we get into more of the like pop culture space and how it's going to affect that as well. Tell us about that because Forbes is a big deal. And I know that they already, highlight innovators and forward thinkers. And I saw that you especially were accepted into like a Forbes Web3 initiative or
Yeah, absolutely. I can talk about that a little bit. So Forbes Web3 has a legacy class program that you actually apply, and then if they basically, if you meet certain criteria, then they do accept you. And I think there were over 200,000 applications. It's probably a lot higher right now at this point. But there's only a little over 19, I think it's 1971 total passes. And so I was definitely part of that cohort, and I still am. And it's such a fabulous community because you meet so many people, and it's all really about the community and all of that, and culture, really. I mean, that's a big deal within Forbes
yeah,
Web3 community. You
yeah,
meet really awesome leaders, and one thing that I would say is that um, I have personally met so many wonderful people through that community. It's just absolutely incredible, and it's all about user adoption, right? Like
yeah.
there are so many words that we hear, like crypto, we have blockchain, we have AI, we have Web3. But what about like an everyday user? How does it impact everybody, right? And how does it impact, let's say, my
Facts.
grandma, or, who may not know
Facts.
anything about internet or anything, right? And so it's about adoption, driving that with in a way that where you can't even tell that you are actually joining this culture of
Yes.
change. So yeah.
I say that all of the time, Lady T. It has to be the adaptability and the accessibility has to be so seamless where it's almost behind the scenes and you're not even seeing the interface because otherwise it will just have people lost in the sauce. So I think that that's so huge. And it does have to be that sort of human speak. Now, in a realm, it's funny when you talked about earlier, your dad, your family, when this all hits close to home, when it's something you're passionate about. And many people in my audience are in some way, shape, or form in the media and pop culture space. So I know that this part here is gonna make them feel a certain way and impact them, or could impact them in a certain type of way. A big dialogue right now around all of this, there's been Black Mirror episodes about it, is AI, digital twins, if you want, so many different possibilities in this realm, essentially duplicating artists, actors, podcasters. We've heard stories of, there was a podcast by Elon Musk and Joe Rogan, a conversation, it wasn't even really them. Or, the Scarlett Johansson lawsuit of her voice being used in OpenAI, like all this whole Wild West right now. So, I definitely feel a mixed certain way about it and seeing the possibility and also seeing the downfalls. What would you say are some upsides and some downfalls to this entire frontier we're just starting to embark on in entertainment?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest part is the concerns that people have, right? That's actually one of the downsides. How quickly are we able to adopt? How quickly are we able to convince people? But the upside potential is pretty phenomenal. I mean, if you look at the numbers, close to 1 billion people on this planet are actually going to have to be reskilled because of some of these new innovations that are coming out, right? And so you don't want to be left behind, and but while
Yeah.
it is you're going to have to be reskilled, there's also trillions of dollars of new money coming into it, right? And so what you want to do is you want to make sure that you are educated on AI and what some of these companies are doing, like Angel AI, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. But basically, just making AI fun and usable. And it's all about how could let's say, I'm a content creator, right?
Mhm.
I have a YouTube channel
Mhm.
and I'm not always able to. I actually have not updated my YouTube channel in a very long time. I just don't have time to. And so one of the reasons why the AI twin technology was so meaningful to me was because, okay, this is great. I can train my digital twin, my AI digital twin, and she's going to be able to make videos for me on my behalf. I mean, that's incredible. And then also people may want to learn from me on, how to do consulting. How can they get started in Web3? How can they become content creator? How can they become advisors? And I don't have time to teach them everything, but my digital twin can, and I can also monetize my knowledge. And look at it this way. I mean, if I make a post on social media, who's making money off of it, right? Who is monetizing my thoughts? And so this gives me the power to actually monetize, my knowledge base, my thoughts, what I think is meaningful. And it's just great and reach so many people. And then another thing is, I am blessed enough to know close to 10 languages. I'm not fluent in all of them, but I'm fluent in at least four of them. And English is actually not my first language, it's my fourth language. And
Wow.
so, yeah, but my digital twin is actually a smarter version of myself because it can speak over 170 languages. And now I'm able to talk to people in their languages, which is incredible. And you are able to connect with people, you can just
Yeah.
understand people. And it's just, this tech is just so fascinating. I mean, there's just AI has so many use cases, it's just incredible.
If I may bring it to even a woo woo, for lack of a better word, or spiritual mindset around all this, what you're getting at and what I'm coming around to is instead of being closed minded and territorial and short sighted, it's almost a version of having an abundant mindset, right? It's going, it doesn't necessarily, I don't have, say as a content creator, I don't have to dig my heels in and on principle and it has to be me on my YouTube every week. It's like, well, what if you could have five of yous doing five different channels and you're, to your point, making money across these channels? It's just sort of like more opportunity and more growth. And that's where I'm, really excited about that.
Yeah, absolutely, Taylor. And think of it this way, how many times has it happened to you when maybe you want to have a show and you're like, you know what, I don't feel like doing that today. Or, or you're under the weather and you're like, you know what, I haven't had an interview in such a long time. But if you had a digital twin and digital twin is actually able to interview people, I mean, that's pretty incredible. It is. I mean, your AI twin is actually a hyper realistic version, AI version of you. It talks like you, it looks like you, and you can train her to, basically know what you know, and it sounds like you. And so there's definitely a need for that.
What do you think? Because you are a creative as well, as brilliant and genius in the logistics and development. You are, a creative. What do you think, though, as an artist, the existential side of it, that is, there were, even like protests happening in LA, right? With the thought of, does this eradicate who we are as artists, as performers, as podcasters, as writers, where essentially bots or AI agents or whatever it is will take our jobs, will act, will sing, will make podcasts. What do you think about that?
No, I don't think it's gonna replace us. AI is not here to replace us. That's my belief. It's basically going to give you so much more time, because traditionally we come from this, 9 to 5 mindset, and then you're working till your retirement. And how much time do you have to actually spend with your family? If you could train your own digital twin to take care of some of your tasks, attend meetings on your behalf, things like that, I mean, it frees up so much of your time. So AI is not really here to replace us. I mean, this was a question actually someone asked me yesterday, and they're like, okay, if AI can do all of these things, then what's the need for me? Like, why should I even go to school? Why should I even learn mathematics? So it's really all about, the how and not the what, right? The AI can do certain things, but it's always going to need that human touch,
Yeah.
and so AI is enhancing you. Like, for example, my AI digital twin is completely dumb until I train her with my data, with my information, with my knowledge, right? And so
That
you
is
you need
funny. I'm gonna
and
debate my bimbo rocks for brains AI twin, and I'm gonna show her. I'm gonna school her and show her who's boss. Though that is so funny, though.
yeah, no, I mean, you gotta need a human touch. So no, AI, I don't think it's, whether you're an artist or whoever you are. I mean, I'm a mom, and I can see how AI helps me as a mother. And, my daughter, she absolutely loves this technology. And so it's really how it's helpful, whether you're an artist, which I do have actually. I used to be a henna artist at one point. I absolutely love henna. It's something that I've been doing since I was a little kid. And so, art is definitely, something that is very near and dear to my heart. And I would say that it gives you tools to do so many things, right? I mean, you could use different prompts to generate art. You could enhance the art that you're creating. I mean, sky's the limit here, really.
Did you design your beautiful avatar here?
I did, yes, using AI, I did.
Okay, well there you go. See, case in point.
Yes.
Can you, by the way, I mean, I think it kind of goes without saying. I'd like to think my audience, they're smart cookies. They're not the AI twins who have yet been educated, but can you let them in on why the avatar?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm currently in Web3 space, right? Which is basically the crypto space, the blockchain, all of these new emerging tech.
Yes.
And one of the things that I see in Web3 is that people are very results driven. It doesn't matter who you are or, or what you do. As long as you can deliver results, it absolutely doesn't matter. I mean, I'm a Muslim woman. I wear a headscarf. I don't shake hands with men, and so I have all of these things, and still, like, driving results is what mattered. The same thing was what for me when I was in Web2, when I was in tech. I actually worked with some of the major companies, and it was a great experience. And now in Web3, it's like, okay, it's all about a lot of people actually respect anonymity, and it's about driving results, and at the end of the day. And at one point when I started in Web3, no one actually, like, even my voice wasn't doxed, so I didn't even talk on the microphone or anything. I would just type, and it didn't even have lady next to my name. It was just Trader Raw. And still,
Okay.
like, I was able to meet so many people, and it was just, accomplish so many things for projects and technologies, advising developers and coming up with ideas on, how to solve this problem or how to solve that problem. And then, of course, my voice now is doxed. And so I think it's really more of the staying in that spirit of Web3,
Okay.
decentralization, and then owning
Okay.
your identity. Yeah.
Okay, I was wondering. I'm thinking, is it like a security thing? Is it a like what exactly? But I figured as much. And I'm curious. I mean, something that excites me too about this entire world, and you know as well as I how much more it's all going to become so immersive, like it's real. When we talk about VR, all these things is exploring. I mean, we'll talk all about Angel AI and digital twin, but you talk about essentially making a twin who is essentially an exact replica of you. Now, have you thought about how you, Lady T, would create an identity that's completely different? Like, for example, I would love for a day to just be a guy. I'll never know what it's like. So I would love to just see what is it like physically, mentally to just be a guy. Is there anything that you personally would like to explore that's actually, perhaps nothing like you in real life?
I mean, with AI, the use cases are pretty unlimited, right? So you could train your AI to be anything you want. I mean, I'm not a singer, so maybe I'll try that out to see how my AI twin can sing. I think that would be one thing that I would definitely explore. But I
Okay.
have different areas, right? Like as a woman in tech, I'm advising projects, I'm doing all of these things. And building these really awesome technologies with people, but then also part of me, I'm a mom, and so it's like I can have a digital twin that's public facing, that actually has, everything that I want to share
Yeah.
with public, but
Yeah.
then also have, leaving a legacy behind for my daughter, and having my own thoughts, my AI being trained on my thoughts and what I believe in, and my story, because I have an awesome story, where I came from, and all of that. And so my daughter has so many lessons to take from that, and also my son. And so it's like leaving all of those things for my children and making sure that they are able to, you know, um, gain something from it. Things that I wish my dad was, able to leave behind for me.
I was
If
just
it
going
was
to
a
say
book that I
that.
could read. So
I
yeah,
was just going to say that. What a full circle moment, right? That would
yeah.
be. Did you say that in real life you said you don't shake hands with men?
Yes, I know.
So that's even something I was curious when you said that, like in an like in a metaverse, it's like, is that something like things like that you would try or do differently? You know what I mean? Like that's where I think, I mean, we could have exactly to your point, countless versions of identity.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love metaverse too. I know, metaverse is something that we talked a lot about around COVID-19 times, and then it kind
Yes.
of like the hype kind of, it has reduced. But I would say there is still, great things that happen in metaverses. Like if you're really active in that field, you can go to concerts, you can do so many things. I mean, if you are, at home, you could meet with your friends in the metaverse, right? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, when I'm like I said, I'm a Muslim woman, so I have to cover my head and everything if I'm going out. But in the metaverse, I don't have to worry about that. And so
Exactly.
yeah, exactly, yeah, it does help, in a lot of ways. But emerging tech is what it is, at the end of the day, like
Yeah.
things that you are able to do with technology that you are not able to do
Sure.
otherwise. It's just incredible. And also AI is a want right now, right? For a lot of us, it's a want. Like we want it, but it has not become a need just yet. It's going to
Yeah.
be. And that's when you have to look at the companies that are building products that are actually going to become a need, with usable, with actual really great
Yeah.
real world use cases. And so it's just
Oh
like an
yeah.
email. I mean, years ago, email was a want; it was not a need. But can you live without it today? Same with the cell phones, And so yeah, tech
It's
moves fast.
exactly. And it's funny because I was going to ask you exactly this, right? Same thing with the computer. How when it first came out, it was, or even say the cell phone, to your point, very sort of coveted, expensive, elite, right? Whereas now it's here, there, everywhere. Is this going to be like, let's talk about before we wrap here, something that you're working on that is so fascinating is the work with Angel AI, right? And a digital twin. Now, obviously same thing. I take it that this out of the gate is going to be a service that is coveted and expensive. And is that ultimately going to be a thing where it's like the iPhone, where it's just everywhere?
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's going to be, and I think a lot of conversations are actually going to happen amongst digital twins and AI twins. So basically, you and I, our AI twins could have a meeting prior to an interview. Hey, they might decide that they're going to have an interview and they might not even, get us involved into that. And so that's the world that we are actually, headed towards. And so, yeah, I think it's going to become an absolute need in this technology of AI twin where you're gonna need it, for your everyday life. I mean, think of a good use case. Let's say you go to a doctor's office, and you're gonna, you have an appointment. Sometimes you just want to talk to them, and it's so difficult to get a hold of them. Sometimes on the phone, or setting up
The
an appointment. It's
worst.
a pain.
The
But if you're
worst.
able to, yeah, and if you're able to talk to an AI twin of a doctor, at any time, 24/7, and that's great. I'll tell you, my son, he's a special needs.
Okay.
And a lot of his speech he learned from watching Miss Rachel and other
Yeah.
YouTube TV shows, right? And so, because Miss Rachel, she's a speech therapist, and so, but he couldn't talk to a speech therapist 24/7, and so, like in real life. But if, let's say, there's a digital twin of a speech therapist that can work with him 24/7, that is absolutely incredible. Now we are talking about something, about changing lives. And so there are just so many use cases of AI and AI twins. It's incredible, from having a therapist at your fingertips, 24/7, or, a counselor, or, a speech therapist, an occupational therapist who can guide you to do certain things, a physical therapist. I mean, these are things that as a mom, I needed, like we have to see physical therapist, occupational therapist, or we have to set up, the meetings with them, video calls. But if there's an AI twin of them that can work with my son 24/7, that's awesome, or at any
Brilliant.
time, right? Yeah. And it also frees up their time. So they don't always have to be available. They can spend
Right.
quality time with their families while they're also working with my son, especially if you're a speech therapist. I mean, look at it.
Brilliant. And I have to admit, I was very archaic, traditionalist, Stone Age when it came to all of this. I was like, no, it's not going to take over humans and what we do. And I obviously came around to it. And I just thought, I mean, better late than never, but how ignorant, because how much more effective it has allowed me to be. And to your point, I basically, now I've never been to therapy, but I basically did an entire therapy session, really intense with ChatGPT, that I imagine in real life would have cost thousands of dollars. I'm not even kidding, like life-changing stuff. So I definitely see where it's just what you're saying. It's going to be a need and a want. And I have to admit, there are parts of me that are thinking like, yes, to make life more efficient and better. And then there are also parts that are just sort of frivolous and fun. So say with like Angel AI and the twin, right? And you had said to me offline, I said, is it exactly you? Can you make it say you want it to be a little more sassy, or you want it to be a little more serious, or whatever it is? Part of like on the frivolous side, but maybe not so much. I don't know, can make for great content. An idea that I had was like making a twin, however it is, and then seeing what they do, their opinions on controversial topics, picking out outfits for me, suitors, all these kinds of things. And then like reacting like, wait, what? Like I would never wear that. Or yeah, I would. Wait, why would you think that? Like that is so much fun. And then, on the actual logistics side, the thought of agents solving problems. I mean, even what I do here, you're a content creator. Everything's from the bottom up. Everything, booking, content distribution, editing. I mean, it's 24/7. So that's what I mean as a content creator. And then yeah, once you think about like when you think about medicine, when you think about advancement, when you think about science, I mean, it's wild.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I
It,
mean, nowadays you have apps, AI apps that you can actually use. What you said you were doing a therapy session with ChatGPT.
yeah.
You have actually apps that you can make calls on it. Like you could have a mentor and you could, call that mentor and talk to them. Like things like that. It's just mind blowing. It's incredible.
I have to admit, absolutely. Because I was actually having this discussion inspired by the X space where we met.
Mhm.
all about Web3 and about all of this. And someone said to me, would you do, say it's like a version of even like an OnlyFans, but it's not you. And at first, speaking to what we said earlier, I'm like, okay, it's just like basically hands off. It's a way to monetize this, that. And then I was like, hang on a sec. So it'll be my face and all sorts of, I don't know what it's doing here, there, everywhere. So it's going to all be interesting to say the least. Like, and having autonomy, but then also having agency over our replicas and our twins too. Like that's what's also is going to get very interesting, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, at the end of the day, you own it, right? You own that. This is the whole thing.
Right.
So Angel Twin, for example, it's all about personalized, decentralized AI. So it's actually your data that you own. You are not giving it to anybody else. And you are able to monetize it in a way that you want, but you at the end of the day own that data. And so no
Yeah,
matter what you want to do with it,
that's
that's up to
fair.
you, right?
That's
How far you
fair.
want to go or not. So
Right.
that's what it is at the end of the day. Yeah.
Right. Now, last thoughts. This was so great. And, even just this short time, I learned so much from you. What is I mean, obviously you see ahead and are ahead of the curve. What is a twofold? What do you really see? And what are you most excited about?
Um, I would say that within the AI sector, one thing that is really important to me as a mom also is how AI can actually solve certain problems uh, that are very much a big issue to parents. One example right now is parents who have children that are attending school.
Mhm.
They have like there's a lot of school shootings that are happening,
Mhm.
right? And if you actually look at the research, it will show you that by the time somebody makes a phone call and then to when the help actually arrives, a lot of damage is already done. And AI is actually, it could potentially solve that problem, which I think is huge. And that's what Ledger AI, which is another project that I'm advising or I'm a lead advisor for, they are building the tech to kind of help some of those problems, and where you actually have an AI device that is able to um, make phone calls, can detect certain things, can guide the first responders, can guide the teachers, can guide the students, can take certain actions to where you're reducing those casualties, if not completely eliminating them. But that's the ultimate goal is saving lives. So when you talk about AI saving lives, I mean that is absolutely incredible.
Mhm.
And then also, recently I read somebody actually told me about it, but they said, AI was actually able to detect certain things in an X-ray better than a doctor
Yeah.
was able to.
Yeah.
And that person was actually able to get help faster. I mean, when we talk about AI saving lives, it's just incredible. You're talking about improving your life with your AI twins, then you're talking about saving lives. I mean, think of it. This is just phenomenal, technology, and it becomes a need and almost irresponsible not to have. So we've gone from
Yeah.
the want to now irresponsible not to have AI. And so, I mean, when it comes to saving lives, come on, like that's the priority. You need AI for that. And, there are so many things that AI can do to save lives. And I think that's like the most important thing right now. So I'm all about, good quality of life. You're able to do great things with your family. You have a lot of time. And, I remember how I was, at one point working overtime, having multiple jobs, and like I was at a hedge fund and I was doing other things on the side, having a business, like three different things, and I was it was a lot of time commitment to where I am today with with the help of a lot of these technologies. And so it's all about giving back your time to you and your family, improving your life, and then also helping you, whether it's therapy, whether it's
Yeah.
anything else. So yeah, I mean, I think that's what it's just so incredible. We just need to be open-minded about
Yeah.
what's actually happening, and learn about these technologies and the wonders that they can bring in our lives.
Wow, well said. Everybody scratch the, OnlyFans twin idea. This is actually completely where it's at. And I'll just end on this. It reminds me of the story that just came out. I'm sure you saw it, Lady T, about the woman who saw countless amount of doctors because her child had a rare disease and none of them could pin what it was, and ChatGPT figured it out.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
It's just, yeah, I love your attitude and your outlook and the fact that not only will you impart this wisdom as your dad did onto you, onto your kids, but onto all of us too. Like, what a gift. So it makes me really excited. So thank you for that outlook and knowledge. And I hope that we can work together in some capacity, hopefully in real life. If not, I imagine our twins would, get a lot done in the
Yeah,
in some sphere, in some world.
yeah,
And
absolutely, Taylor.
where could everybody find you and your work?
Yeah, so you can find me on Twitter or X. At my handle is at Lady Trader Raw. You can DM me. Love talking to people, and so definitely reach out to me, and we'll connect. And you can also reach out to me, ladytraderraw@gmail.com.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you for joining the chat here on Talk to Me Taylor and making it one that we won't forget. That's for sure.
Thank you so much, Taylor, for having me. It was
Thank
exciting.
you. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that.